You've just had the most incredible day. Something amazing happened. You're bursting to tell someone about it.
And then your mate asks, "How was your day?" And you just suddenly freeze up and don't know how to say.
You mumble something like, "Yeah, it was. Good." And they move on. They have no idea about the victory you just had. How embarrassing is that?
Check this out. The way you share your day doesn't just make conversations more interesting, it actually inspires the people around you. It builds deeper connections.
Today, we're giving you 5 simple conversation patterns that will transform your daily chats from absolutely boring to genuinely inspiring.
By the end of this video, you're going to know the secret patterns that makes people actually lean in when you're telling a story. Ready?
Welcome to Speak Fluent English Lab, where learning to speak fluent English feels simple and fun. I'm David.
Hi everyone, I'm Lena. We are so glad you pressed play today.
Before we dive in, I want to give a huge thank you to everyone watching right now.
Seriously, your like to us is so important. That absolutely fuels us, so please hit that like button right now. It literally takes 1 second.
Hit the subscribe and notification bell so you'll be the first to see our next English lesson. And trust me, you won't want to miss them.
Okay, let's get into today's lesson.
So, your colleague sits down next to you at lunch. You've got news. Something happened that morning that completely changed your day.
But how do you start that conversation? Do you just blurt it out? Do you ease into it slowly?
Here's what brilliantly smart speakers do. They hook the listener first. They create curiosity. They make people want to hear more.
The first phrase is, "Have I got a story for you?" Try saying that out loud right now.
Have I got a story for you? It's magic because it immediately tells your listener, this matters. Pay attention.
Why does it work? Because you're not asking permission. You're not being apologetic. You're saying, "I've got something good," and people want to hear good things.
So you say, have I got a story for you? You won't believe what happened in our meeting this morning.
But what if that feels a bit too formal? Here's another option that's more suspicious, more intriguing. You're not going to believe this, but...
You're not going to believe this, but I just got promoted. See how that creates doubt? How it builds anticipation? Your listener's brain immediately goes, wait, what? Tell me more.
And then there's the super informal, natural one. So get this, it's short, punchy, instantly conversational.
So get this, I was running 20 minutes late this morning, and then the most random thing happened. See, they're already leaning in.
The pattern here is this. Don't just launch into your story. Hook them first. Create a gap between the setup and the reveal. That gap, that's where curiosity lives.
Okay, so you've hooked them. Now they're ready to listen. But here's where most people lose momentum.
They start explaining everything in a boring, chronological way. Timestamps, unnecessary details, facts, facts, facts.
Brilliantly smart speakers do something completely different. They paint a picture. That is building context with sensory details.
So instead of just saying, "I had a really good day," you'd say, "It was one of those days where everything just clicked."
Notice that? You're not explaining what clicked. You're giving them a feeling first. You're making them curious about the details.
Here's another one. The moment I walked in, I could tell something was different. You're giving them anticipation.
Your listener's brain is already asking questions. Different how? What did she notice? What happened next?
And then there's this one. out of the blue, which is absolutely brilliant when something unexpected happened.
Out of the blue, my boss calls me into her office. At first, I thought I was in trouble. See how that creates instant tension, instant drama?
The secret here is this: don't just list facts. Make them experience your day. Give them the feeling first, then the details.
Okay, next is where the magic really happens. This is where inspiration is actually born, the emotional turning point.
Most people gloss over their emotions when they're telling a story. They skip right past the feeling and jump to the resolution.
But brilliantly smart speakers, they live in that emotion. They let people feel what they felt.
So when something good happens, you don't just say, "I was happy." You say, "I was absolutely over the moon."
That phrase, over the moon, it doesn't just mean happy, it means euphoric, it means floating, it's vivid.
And on the flip side, when something scary happens, you don't say, "I was worried." You say, "I could feel my heart sink."
Your listener isn't just hearing the words, they're feeling the drop in their own chest. They're experiencing it with you.
And then there are those moments where everything shifts. That's when that's when a light bulb moment hit me.
A light bulb moment means you suddenly understood something. Everything clicked into place. The confusion became clarity.
And for those big realizations, it hit me like a ton of bricks. That's the phrase for when understanding slams into you.
Why do these phrases work? Because emotion is contagious. When you feel something deeply, your listener feels it too. And that's what creates inspiration.
All right, our next trick is something that quietly makes you sound like a leader. This is how you turn a personal story into wisdom sharing, the learning and resolution.
Think about the people you really admire, the ones who inspire you. What do they do when they tell you a story?
They don't just entertain you, they teach you. They give you something to take away.
So after your emotional moment, you pause. And then you say, "What I learned from this was."
That simple phrase tells your listener, okay, I'm about to give you wisdom. I'm about to give you perspective.
What I learned from this was that sometimes you have to trust your gut, even when it absolutely terrifies you.
Or you might say, it taught me a valuable lesson about resilience. I realized I'm stronger than I ever thought.
That's not just sharing a story. That's literally modeling how brilliant speakers think. You're showing them that you reflect, that you grow.
Sometimes it's looking back, I can see how that failure actually pushed me towards something better. It's perspective. It's wisdom.
And the most direct one, the takeaway for me is, that's the closer. That's the lesson wrapped up and handed to them.
Here's why this matters. When you do this, you're not just a person with interesting things to tell, you're a thinker. You're someone who learns. And that's what people actually follow. That's what inspires them.
Okay, this last one might feel uncomfortable at first, but it's absolutely a game changer for how people perceive you in conversation.
Because here's what most people do wrong. They tell their whole story and then they just stop. The conversation dies.
Brilliantly smart speakers know something different. They know how to keep the dialogue flowing. They invite other people in.
So after your story, you might say, hang in there, because, and then you encourage someone else who's facing something similar.
I know you're stressed about your presentation next week, but hang in there. You're going to absolutely kill it. I can see it.
Or you use this one. Time flies when you're having fun, and then you bring them back to the conversation with a new reflection.
Time flies when we're having fun, but the best part was hearing my team's honest feedback afterward. That's what actually changed my perspective.
And here's a simple one that makes people feel included. You know what I mean? It's short, it's a question, it invites them to connect.
It's that feeling when you finally know you made the right choice, you know? You're not just telling them, you're making them part of the story.
And then, this is key, you position your perspective respectfully, if you ask me.
If you ask me, that's when you know you've found your people, when they celebrate your wins like they're their own.
That phrase actually gives you authority without being bossy. It says, here's my view, and I'm offering it to you.
The pattern here is this: don't end the conversation with your story. End it by inviting them into the conversation. Make it about connection, not performance. Okay, let's recap what we covered in this episode.
Pattern 1, hook your listener with exciting openers like, have I got a story for you? Create curiosity first.
Pattern 2, build your context with sensory details. Make them feel your day, not just hear about it.
Pattern 3, share your emotional turning point, because this is where inspiration actually lives. Use vivid emotion phrases.
Pattern 4, end with a learning or a lesson. Turn your story into wisdom. Show people you reflect and grow.
And pattern 5, keep the conversation flowing. Invite other people in. Don't just perform, create connection.
I promise you, when you start telling your stories this way, your relationships get deeper. People start seeing the real you.
And you become someone who lifts others up just by sharing authentically.
Let's hit that like button if this made sense to you. It genuinely helps us reach more English learners.
The best time to improve your English was yesterday. The second best time is right now. Start using these patterns today.
And remember, every brilliantly smart speaker you admire, they started exactly where you are. They just kept going. You've got this.
Thanks for learning English with us today. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a lesson and keep those English breakthroughs coming straight to your feed.
We'll see you in the next one.
See ya. Bye.